All right, welcome to the RAMcast, where we talk about all things related to Sioux Valley. This is your host, Brian Kirby, and co host, Jimmy Sickler.
Happy to be here, Mr. Kirby.
All right, this year we are doing more spotlights, and today we are doing our teacher spotlight, and we have none other than the Miss Nicole South. And without further ado, let's get the show rolling. All right, welcome, Miss Nicole. Why don't you start off by telling us the name of your high school, the town it was in, state, and mascot?
Okay, thank you. Let's see. So the name of my high school was Richard King High School in Corpus Christi, Texas, and our mascot was the Mustang.
Ooh,
nice.
Okay.
So for entertainment, what song, band, TV show, or movie has been keeping you entertained lately?
Ooh. Lately, I've been binge watching a show called My Dead Body or something like that with my daughter Ayla. It's ridiculous, but entertaining. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to look it up. I need something new this weekend to start watching. So, okay, perfect. Which teacher had the most impact on you, and what do you remember the most about them?
Oh, yes. My high school English teacher in my junior year, Miss Obermiller, nicknamed the Oberführer because she was intense. It was an honors English class, and I was a terrible writer coming into it, and I was a decent writer coming out of it. She was
Oh.
an outstanding writing teacher, literature teacher, had really high expectations and a very stern, kind of imposing demeanor. She was about 6'2" and wore heels. Yeah, and had big hair, so she was there. But she was a really good teacher, very consistent, very fair, and actually, in retrospect, had an amazing sense of humor. We were just too dense to get it at the time, I think. Yeah. But in terms of, really teaching me how to write, she was the one. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. What was your favorite extracurricular activity?
Well, soccer, of course.
Of
Yes.
course.
Of course.
Yep.
As most of you know, Nicole is our high school head soccer coach.
Doing a fantastic job, by the way.
Right, thank you.
So, what does Miss Nicole like to do outside of school for fun?
Oh, I like to suffer. I I strap heavy backpacks and sleds on and then skis to my feet and clamber up and over mountains for fun.
Oh,
Yes.
all right.
Yeah. And it is a good time.
Yeah.
If you're really type A, which I am.
Yeah.
Perfect for you. I'll let you do that. Okay, so when you were in class or when you were in school, what class did you find the most enjoyable?
Well, I grew up on the coast there in Texas, and we had a marine science class when I was in high school. And we were each given a saltwater tank, a 50 or 100-gallon tank. And I don't think this would fly nowadays because ethically it probably wasn't the best thing, but we were actively encouraged to go out and collect specimens and bring them in and then try to keep them alive in our tanks.
Oh,
And a lot more died than lived, but we did eventually get the hang of it, and we learned a ton about the local ecology and had a blast out, in the middle. It was the only time I was as a child or as a teenager really allowed free reign to just go do as I liked. And so we were out at well into the wee hours of the morning because that's when the little fishies came out, collecting and seeing if I could keep them alive until the next day to bring them into school, and then seeing what happened thereafter. Yeah, it was the most hands-on course I've ever done, and learned a ton and had a great time doing it. Yeah.
that sounds like a fun class, actually.
Yeah, it was.
Sure. So, with whom did you have your most meaningful relationships with during your your school years as a student? And it could be anybody in the building. It doesn't have to be a teacher. It could be, custodian, a coach, janitor, lunch lady, whoever.
Sure. Unfortunately, I would say I didn't really have very much for meaningful adult relationships at
Mhm.
my school. I think there was something close to 500 students in my graduating
Mhm.
class, right? It was not a
Whew.
small
Yeah.
Yeah.
school.
Okay.
Um, but, there were a couple of teachers that I did make a connection to, at least within the year I had them. It was very rare to
Yep.
have the same teacher repeatedly. And they were, interestingly, because I took so many science classes and math classes, it was actually my English teachers that I had the most connection to, I would say.
Oh.
And so Miss Obermiller, again, had a big impact. And unfortunately, my senior year English teacher, her name is escaping me right now, but she was really impactful as well. She was just really understanding and treated us, like free thinking individuals, which most of the rest of our teachers probably did not, and just showed us a level of respect as students and as people that I wasn't really accustomed to. So it was really nice.
It's awesome.
So, what is something you have learned about yourself since you started working with kids as a teacher?
I talk too quickly, generally. Uh, I've had to slow things down or try to, as well. You know, I I've learned to really develop my patience, I would say, because young people do goofy things sometimes,
Mm.
and you have to give them the space to make those mistakes and come back and correct it, and maintain the higher ground, the higher road always. And that has definitely helped beyond the classroom, just
Yeah.
in terms of trying to you know see things from other people's perspective and keep my cool when things are rough. I think teaching really kind of helps that.
Yeah. Cool. Good. So, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your younger self, either entering high school for the first time or leaving high school for post secondary?
Sure. I would say entering high school, I would give myself the advice to explore more options. It's a free education, and especially at a school of the size that I went to, there were so many arts and music courses, astronomy. We
Mm.
had an observatory. I never took
Oh,
an astronomy
wow.
course there. Like it was really cool, and I feel like I missed out on a lot of opportunities, just to kind of expand my horizons at that age because I was so focused on math, science, and making sure I was prepared for high school. I wasn't necessary, and I missed out on all of those opportunities because once you're out of high school, you pay for every one of them. So,
Mm.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Good answer. What is one of the most memorable moments you've had with your students?
well, when I taught in Healy, uh, it was a beautiful spring day, and you know how it is in spring, everybody wants to go
Hmm.
outside. So I was teaching a health class, so I was able to take them out more often than maybe my other classes, legitimately.
Yeah.
And so we went out to and decided to kick the soccer ball around on the field because it had just dried and was not a mud pit. But I was about, let's see, this would have been April. I was about 7 months pregnant with Evelyn. And my students up there were very protective and very sweet. And they were convinced, just you cannot play. You cannot play. You'll hurt yourself.
Hmm.
You'll hurt the baby. I'm like, no, it's fine. I'll just take it easy. And if it feels bad, I'll stop. And whatever. And so we're playing. I put myself back at the very back of the defense so that I probably wouldn't have much, play action. And the very first ball that came my way, someone's sprinting on a breakaway, and I turn to run with them as you do and try to contain them. And
Yeah.
my center of gravity was kind of different from normal, and I just fell right over, landed on my face, uh, and it was embarrassing and humiliating. And worse because then everyone's crowding around me, so concerned about my well-being, and
Right.
yeah, it,
Yep.
it was
Yep.
it was pretty embarrassing. So
Okay. Well,
that's one.
All right, that might be the answer to the next question, because the next question was what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you in front of students?
Oh, well, that's the
So,
one. Yeah,
so
for sure. I will say I could give you another example of a really, really memorable one. Another health class teaching when I was teaching in the bush in McGrath. It was spring and we were out for a health walk. That's what I called them.
okay.
And we went down to the river and down to the Kuskokwim.
Yep.
And we were there when the ice started going out.
Mm,
And it was a group, my class was 4 boys, so 4 teenage boys, 15 to 17 years old. None of them had ever seen it. None of them had ever been there right when it happened. And it was the sweetest thing. They were elated, like jumping around for joy. And you never see these sorts of emotions from these kids, right?
Right.
They don't show, that's not cool. But they were completely uncool and completely natural. And it was a once in a lifetime experience, probably for all of us. It was really, really neat.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So our last day of school is May 23rd, and what is your plan after that for the summer months?
I really want to take my daughters on a road trip around some of the, like through some of the national parks in the
Mm.
western United States. So down the West Coast, through the redwoods and all that, and then over to the Rockies and back up through a good chunk of the Rockies. If we have enough time and the inclination, I'll actually do it as a trip from Alaska. I've never driven in or out of the state. Moved here in
Yeah.
'94 and never once have I driven it just for lack of time. So if we have the time,
Right.
we'll drive the whole thing. If not, we'll just fly down and get a car and cruise.
Right.
That sounds epic. Nice.
Yeah.
I hope
Sounds
so.
like a great trip for sure.
Yeah.
So, one final question: is there anything else that we didn't talk about you wanna throw out there? Are you
I
back?
think we have a great
There we
group of kids here. I really enjoy teaching the kids at Sioux Valley. I feel like we have a caring and well qualified staff. I think good things are going on around here. I'm glad to be part of it.
As am I for sure.
Yep.
So,
Agree.
all right. So this will conclude this special edition with a teacher spotlight with Miss Nicole. And once again, this is Principal Brian Kirby here, and I got my co-host as always, Jimmy.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and again, another shout out and then definitely a thank you for Miss Nicole for being here. I appreciate it
thank
very
you.
much. Yeah, and I hope that you enjoy this podcast as another way to connect with our Sioux Valley community. Hope to see you at the next school event or around the community. Thanks for listening.